Sometimes the most legendary figures in the world keep their greatest surprises hidden until the very last moment. And trust me, this is one of those stories. If you think you've already seen everything The Undertaker had to offer, you're about to realize how wrong that assumption really was. But listen carefully, because unless you stick with me until the very end, you won't fully understand just how shocking this secret project truly is. For decades, The Undertaker wasn't just a wrestler. He was a phenomenon. He created an aura so terrifying, so mysterious, that even his silence became louder than the cheers of thousands of fans. People believed they knew him, the dead man, the phenom, the legend of the squared circle. But beneath the shadow of that iconic hat and trench coat, he was building something entirely unexpected, something nobody, not even his closest fans, saw coming. Now here's where the twist begins. After officially retiring and giving what many thought was his last ride, Undertaker could have easily stayed in the shadows, enjoying his well-earned rest. But instead, he quietly started working on a project so personal, so secretive, that not even the wrestling industry's loudest insiders could leak it. Imagine the one man who built a career around mystery deciding to craft one final surprise, but this time, outside the ring. That's exactly what happened. And when word finally slipped about this secret project, fans were stunned. This wasn't a comeback match. It wasn't a Hall of Fame speech. It was something entirely different. Something that would show a side of The Undertaker no one had ever seen before. The kind of revelation that makes you question how well you ever really knew the man behind the myth. From the very start, The Undertaker's career was built on illusions, storytelling, and moments that blurred the line between reality and performance. But this time, what he created was not just another character or match. It was something far deeper. And here's the shocking part. This secret project was not designed to entertain millions inside an arena. It was built to reveal a truth about himself that fans had been begging to know for decades. For years, people asked, who was the man behind The Undertaker? We saw the supernatural entrances, the chilling stare, the legendary battles. But what about the human being under that hat? That's where this project came in. Undertaker decided to strip away the mystique he had protected his entire career and show his unfiltered reality. The hook? He wasn't going to do it halfway. He went all in, opening the doors to a side of his life that nobody, absolutely nobody, saw coming. Think about it. One of the most private superstars in WWE history, a man who protected kayfabe longer than almost anyone, suddenly stepping forward to show his vulnerabilities, his struggles, his personal reflections. That contrast alone is enough to leave you hooked. For years, The Undertaker had been the symbol of darkness, but here, he was stepping into the light in a way that shocked even lifelong fans. And the project itself? It wasn't just about his legacy in wrestling. It was about his journey as a man, a father, a husband, and someone who lived decades under the pressure of being larger than life. This wasn't the Undertaker we grew up fearing. This was Mark Calloway, finally speaking with no mask, no smoke, no mirrors. What made this project even more gripping was the way The Undertaker revealed it. There was no dramatic gong, no arena lights going out, no smoke-filled entrance. Instead, he chose a simple, almost quiet unveiling that made the shock even greater. Fans were expecting one last dramatic storyline, maybe even a surprise return. But instead, they got something far more powerful, a raw look into the reality of the man they thought they knew. The twist here is that Undertaker had always been the master of controlling perception. Every move, every expression, every silence was carefully crafted to feed into the myth. But this project shattered all of that. Suddenly, fans were watching him talk openly about his injuries, his sacrifices, the toll of carrying an entire era of WWE on his shoulders. And for the first time, they weren't seeing the phenom. They were seeing Mark Calloway, the man who gave his body and soul to create the character that haunted our childhoods. And let me tell you, the details he shared weren't easy to hear. They were shocking, sometimes heartbreaking, and yet completely inspiring. The Undertaker wasn't just telling stories. He was giving fans the missing puzzle pieces of his legendary career. For decades, we only saw the battles inside the ring. But through this secret project, we discovered the struggles outside of it, the late nights, the doubts, the pain he never allowed to show. This was the kind of storytelling that made you lean in closer, wondering what revelation would come next. And the more you watched, the more you realized this wasn't just about wrestling. It was about resilience, sacrifice, and the man who carried one of the greatest legacies in sports entertainment history. The deeper you go into this project, the more shocking it becomes. Because Undertaker didn't just talk about victories and glory, he revealed the battles that no one ever saw. Imagine the man who terrified generations of wrestlers admitting the moments when he could barely walk backstage, the surgeries that left him questioning if he could ever perform again, and the times when he hid his pain just to keep the illusion alive. That's the kind of raw honesty this project delivered. And here's the twist that makes it unforgettable. Undertaker admitted that for years, he couldn't separate himself from the character. Mark Calaway was consumed by The Undertaker. Every decision, every sacrifice, every ounce of his energy went into keeping the dead man alive for the fans. But in doing so, he risked losing his true self. This revelation hit fans like a thunderbolt, because suddenly, the scariest figure in WWE history wasn't scary at all. He was human. Through this secret project, you start to see the duality. The Undertaker we saw in the ring was unstoppable, immortal, almost otherworldly. But behind the curtain, Mark Calaway was carrying injuries, doubts, and an overwhelming pressure to never let the mystique break. And yet, despite all of that, he still chose to push through year after year, decade after decade. That's why this project shocked so many people. It wasn't just about nostalgia or revisiting the past. It was about lifting the veil on a myth and showing the vulnerable, real man behind it. And the more you watched, the clearer it became. This wasn't just a career retrospective. It was a confession, a closing chapter that left fans speechless. By the time the project reached its conclusion, one thing was absolutely clear. This wasn't just about The Undertaker's past, it was about his future. Because for the first time in decades, Mark Calaway was stepping into a role that had nothing to do with the dead man. And here's the shocking part. Instead of fading away like so many legends before him, he used this project as a way to reinvent himself entirely. He revealed his lessons, his mistakes, and his wisdom, not as a performer, but as a man who had lived through unimaginable highs and devastating lows. And that's what made it legendary. Fans didn't just see their hero, they saw themselves reflected in his struggles. The twists weren't about supernatural storylines anymore. They were about real life, about perseverance, about family, and about the price of chasing greatness. And here's where the hook locks you in until the very last second. Undertaker hinted that this wasn't the end. This secret project was just the beginning of a new chapter. No more hiding behind shadows, no more mystery. He wanted to connect directly, openly, and honestly with the very people who had followed him since day one. For decades, the question was always, what's next for The Undertaker? Fans speculated about dream matches, surprise returns, or dramatic final appearances. But nobody saw this coming. Instead of one last battle inside the ring, his true final act was revealing himself outside of it. And that's the twist that left fans stunned. Because sometimes the greatest story isn't about a character at all, it's about the human being who created him. And with this project, The Undertaker gave us the most unforgettable chapter of all.